another video on Python. This time we're going to talk about working with data frames. So if you've already learned about the pandas library and the basics of data frames, this is a video for you. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to do the following in a data frame, like how to explore a data frame, how to work with columns, and a little bit about row slicing. So this is a window to getting more info from your data frame, which eventually is your underlying data. So we'll learn about how you would explore a data frame using head, tail, shape, and other things, basically to get a bird's eye overview of the data. Then we'll talk about accessing different columns or a column of a data frame, creating a new column. Then we talk about row slicing used with conditions and few other possibilities with the data. So for this demo on exploring the data frame, I'm going to use the world indicator data. And just to give you an idea about this, if I run this and import this data frame, which we already discussed in past videos. So this is the data frame and it has various columns and it's primarily a demographic data. Now, first thing, how do we explore this data frame? So there are a few things we can do with this data frame. We can use the describe method of the data frame. Mind you, these options or these methods are available for a pandas data frame only. So if I say WID underscore data frame, which is a data frame we have imported using read underscore CSV command. So if I say describe, it describes my data. So if I have a look here, what it's throwing out. So you see, it gives me the descriptives of various columns and it gives you an idea about the data frame. Instead of getting the description of the entire data frame, I can also get an idea about the specific column of a data frame. And if I do it like this, it gives me the idea about a column of a data frame, right? Then we can also use the info method, in which if I say info, it gives me further info. Like for instance, these are the column names, it lists it like this, and then how many non-null values are there, what are the D type. So this gives a very good way for you to analyze the underlying data, specifically from data cleaning point of view. Then the next one is shape. So if I use shape, so it gives me the shape of the data frame. Now, visually, we have the shape of a data frame available from the variable explorer window of Spider, where I have this shape, which means these many rows and these many columns. But we also get it as an output using the shape method like this. And if we want to do something with this, this can also be used in the program. So it is passed out as it can be passed in a variable in short. Next is head. So if I use the data frame name dot head, so I'll get the first few rows of the data. It gives you a chunk of the head of the data, so which gives you an idea about the data frame, and these dots are the columns in between. So you get an overview about the data. Likewise, you can say wd underscore df dot tail, which is here. Let me bring it up here so that they are next to each other. So this will give me the tail of the data frame, which means the lower part. So sometimes the top or the lower part have some things missing. So just to check the completeness or the wholeness of data along with the overall look and feel of the data. Next is the len. The len command, just like in strings, in this case gives you the length of the data frame, which means if you run this, it gives me 2704, which is the number of rows if you see here. So it gives us the number of rows. So len is a good way to check the number of rows. And then very important, you can also extract the column names like this over here. And if I say data frame name dot columns, then I'll get name of all the columns over here, right? Next is finding the index. So you can say wd underscore df dot index, and if you do it like this, it gives you the index, right? So it gives you the index of this data frame, and we can again play around with this to extract more info. then you can access a column of a data frame, which is basically a very simple way. It can be done in a very simple way, but let's try to pause here and try to understand how it works. So if I write the name of a data frame followed by a square bracket over here, right? This square bracket over here, and then the column name. So this way I can extract the column region and which is stored in X. So if you see this X, if I click it, so it gives me whatever is stored in X. Because I'm extracting region, it gives me all the values in this column. Now this X is being stored as a series, right? Now if I have to extract more than one column, let's say region and country. So if I had used this, like I pass more column by separating them with comma, this will not work because this is not the right format, right? So it will show you an error here. So the reason is you can get one column out as a series, right? And that's what Python series is all about. But if you want more than one column, then you need to extract it out as a data frame, which means first see what's happening here. I'm extracting region as well as country, right? So these are two columns. So to extract two columns, I first need to pass these columns as a list, right? So I'm passing these columns as a list because I'm putting them inside a square bracket. And then that list has to be passed within the square bracket, the outer square bracket, which is used to slice this data frame like I've told before. So this, in this case, this is square bracket is slicing this data frame. Again, this square bracket is slicing this data frame. And how is it slicing? It is slicing by slicing out these two columns which are being passed as a list. So I have to pass the column name as a list. And hence I have two square brackets here. So if I run this and if I show you, so this Y now is a data frame, right? So that's the difference. As a matter of fact, if I had just used region here, right? But instead of single bracket like this, if I use this, so what I'm doing here is I'm passing column name as a list, but only one column is there, right? And column name is there. So in this case, the output would be a data frame. See, Y is a data frame. Whereas if I pass a single bracket, it will come out as a, you see it again, just observe here. So if I run it again, so this time it's a series, right? So that's how it works. And if you understand this, you will be able to play around with the columns and how you slice them out from a data frame. Now, how do you create a new column? So let's say I have this data frame already and it has some existing columns here, right? Let's say I want to add a new column over here, and that column name is, let's say, new underscore call underscore one, and I want to pass a value 100 to each of the row in this column. So if I just write the data frame name, then a square bracket and pass the new column name. This new column name just gets added to the existing data frame, and then if I say equal to 100, this value is passed to this new column. So if I run this, and if I see the data frame, so you will observe that this new underscore call underscore one is added here, right? And all the values are here are 100 because I've passed 100. Likewise, I can create a new column. This time I'm naming it new call 2, and I can equate it to an existing column, or maybe do something with the column, existing column. Let's say if it's some numerical value, maybe had it been population, let's say, I can divide it by some, let's say, to convert it into millions. So let's say I divide it by this number, right? So all these things can be done. To keep it simple, let me pass this region column to this new column. So if I run this, this entire column is exactly mapped with the new column 2. So if I look at the data frame, sorry. So as you will see that the new call, which is the new column 2, is equivalent to the region column, right? So all the values are passed, right? So this way I can add a new column and also interact with other columns to find a new column. I mean, just to give you a theoretical overview, if there is a new column 3 like this, which is coming from some other columns, right? So from, let's say, some column, I can even do it like this, some other column, and then same thing I can add, maybe a new column is sum of two other columns, right? Something like this. This also can be done. So you can uh, play around with the columns like this. Okay, so I'm sorry, not this one, like this. So I'm just getting rid of this. Okay. Next is row slicing. So right now we are taking out columns from a data frame. What if we want to take out some rows from this data frame? So for this, the very basic way to do is using the slicing as discussed before. So what you do is you write the data frame name, put the square bracket for slicing, and then specify how many rows you want to take out. So in this case, this is a row index. So you're saying, or row position actually. So you're saying from the beginning up till the 10th row, excluding 10th, take it out, right? And pass it to this new data frame, which is wid underscore df1, right? So run this. So, and you see this is taking out first 0 to 9th row, right? Excluding the 10th. So this way you slice the rows or take out rows from an existing data frame. You can also take out rows from an existing data frame based on a condition. Now, if you see this data frame, there is a column which is country, right? So what if, let's say I want a specific country from this to, let's say if I talk about this country, I only want data for this country to be taken out, right? So all the columns for this specific country. So I can say wherever the country is this, just take out all the data. So how do you do that? You first define a data frame where you want to pass this value, and you say this is equal to existing data frame, right? And then within square bracket, because for slicing you need a square bracket, within the square bracket you specify the condition, right, for slicing it out or for taking out the rows. So I'll say in this data frame, wherever this column, so basically this is the country column in the data frame wid underscore df, wherever it is equal to this country, just take those rows out and pass it to this new data frame. So if I run this, you will see that in this case I'm getting the data only for this specific country only, right? So this way you can filter on specific condition and take out those rows. Now if you want to do more advanced or maybe take out the rows or columns based on some advanced techniques, then we'll need to cover lock and ilock, which I have a separate video. I've created a separate video for that. So for these remaining condition, we'll cover lock and ilock in a separate video. I'm skipping it for the time being. And then you can also use the memory usage method. So you write the data frame name dot memory underscore usage, and what it does is it gives you how much memory this data is occupying, right? So this is also an interesting feature. Brings us to the end of this video. This would help you to explore your data frame using these techniques, and please practice these. And in case you find our video useful, do subscribe, comment, and like it, and we'll be back with more videos on Python. Thank you so much.